So how are you, Mr. Wieden?
I'm fine.
So I'm going to start with some fun softball questions.
Okay.
Just gets rolling.
Yeah.
Then we'll work in some detailed, thoughtful questions.
Okay.
So where did you go to high school?
I was lucky enough to grow up in Grant High School,
Grant
Portland,
High School.
Oregon. Yeah.
What was your mascot?
Mascot was General Grant.
General Grant.
He's dead, but we're alive.
Yeah. Do you still remember your school fight song or anthem?
When you turn 70, somebody comes and vacuums all the information you had in your brain out.
Yeah.
So no, there's many things I no longer have access to.
Okay. How would you describe yourself when you were 16 or 17? A jock, nerd, and stoner?
When I was how old?
16 or 17, high school age.
Yeah, when I was 16 or 17, I was horrid on land. Any land sport, count me out. Drop me in a pool of water, and I could swim like the devil. And I did. I swam AAU back in the day and won a bunch of medals. And a good friend of mine, Don Scholander, we were on the same team years ago, and he was much better than me, as it turned out. And he's had 4 gold medals at the Olympics. So, but I was born as a Pisces, a white water sign, and that's where I'm most at home.
So here's something I'm curious about.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends seem to already know what they are doing with their lives, like a doctor, a lawyer, a banker. So I have 2 questions. It's a 2-part question. What do you say to kids like me who don't know what they want to be or what path they want to follow? And when did you decide that advertising was what you wanted to pursue?
Boy, that's a great question.
Thank you.
Well, I loved the theater. I loved acting. But I thought, I'm not sure this is something I want to do for a living. I liked being a director and directing talent. And that felt a little bit better. But when I left the University of Oregon, I had done some theater and thought, what I should do is a path that my dad actually took, which was advertising. And I had so much respect for him, and not a great deal of respect for advertising, but I was fascinated by it. And so I think in some ways that I wanted not to be something, but I wanted to help create something that could change people's lives when we work together and change clients and such. A very idealistic thing. But actually this thing has come about. The biggest dream we ever thought we'd have was maybe we could at some point have like 12 people in this agency. Well, right now worldwide there's about 1,500 people that work for Wieden and Kennedy. I don't know how this happened. I really don't.
Yeah, wow. If you didn't pursue advertising, what do you think you would be doing in life?
If I wasn't doing advertising, it's likely I could have gotten too deep into the scotch, and or probably just well, I don't know. I didn't really have. I really didn't have an alternative anywhere, really, except maybe theater. But I ruled it out. It's just not stable enough.
I'm just going to throw out some topics.
Okay,
and
good.
if you want to free associate a bit.
Sure.
Just like 1, 2, 3 word answers.
Okay.
So when you were 16, 17 years old, like high school age,
Yeah.
what were your thoughts on sex?
At that age, when I turned 17 or 16, when I turned 16, about the only thing I thought about was sex. And I didn't do it as much as I wish I had.
How about drugs?
No, I never did the drug thing. I didn't even drink alcohol till I was a sophomore in college. I wasn't into it, and then later on in life I got way into it when my wife had some strokes, and when so for a week there, no, more like a month there, I guess, it was really, really difficult for me, and then I hung up the bottle. But there was a month or two there that were sort of lost time, but it just out of sorrow,
Well, I'm glad you got through it.
Yeah.
How about peer pressure?
Peer pressure? Well, then when I was at Grant, there was like two kinds of students. There are the cool ones and sort of the ragtag ones, The socias, we used to call them the socias, and the rest of us ne'er-do-wells. And I was in the lower group, and I loved it. I loved it to be with people who were so odd and weird and strange, And I was always more intimidated by people who seemed more at ease being in a group of similar tastes and whatnot. Not one's better than the other, but it was just that's where I kind of fell at home.
Yeah. So, watching some of your interviews online, I've watched a lot of them.
Oh dear.
To prepare.
Okay.
I learned one of your company mottos is fail harder.
Yeah.
I suspect that there's some wisdom in that, of course, but not just for an ad guy, just for how about a high school kid? Can you elaborate on that?
I think the biggest problem with trying to succeed, it may be the wrong thing you're supposed to be doing. What you're supposed to be doing is trying to do something nobody's ever done before. Not to copy somebody, but to shock the world, and think up something that nobody else would ever think of, and put together something, whether it's a business or whatever, or a circus. You just want it to be something nobody's ever seen quite before. It's unique, and yeah.
How about wake up stupid?
Uh-huh.
I know you don't mean like my dad in the morning, like wake up stupid.
Yeah, no, wake up stupid. We actually have, I don't know if you saw this, but in our London office we have this mannequin going to work like this, and he has a attaché case that says wake up stupid every morning, and in place of a head there's a blender. And the idea is that the world you went to sleep with is not the world you're waking up with. Something has happened in the world that may or may not affect you, but it isn't what it was last night. So you have to be able to reevaluate the moment that you're in and try and see what you want to do about it, rather than assuming it's the same moment that was there yesterday and the day before and the day before. No, there's been a fundamental challenge to you that you have to face in order to do what you really need to do, what you're being called to do.
So my dad says a successful life is one where I'm happy with myself. Mm. He says if you can wake up and look at yourself in the mirror at age 40 and not cringe, then I'm halfway there. How do you define a successful life?
I think a successful life is not always being a success, but being curious. And waking up curious and starting again each day or each moment is, because that's more interesting than repeating things.
So Aristotle talked about practical wisdom, and that it leads to the term the good life. That's a life filled with kindness, courage, and loyalty. I like some insights on how you live your life, what Aristotle calls the good life, and to try to see what you view as most rewarding. So maybe it might help my focus going forward in life.
Mm.
So you're parents, you're married, you founded and run a global company. You founded Caldera, and what's been the most satisfying aspect of your life? Work, family, service?
Wow. I don't think anybody has ever asked me that question. Well, I think the thing I've learned, both in my marriage and in my family, and in my business, and the fact of the matter is, whatever you feel, it's that for me the best of that is that it's not about me. My life is not about me. My life is about in service to something invisible, or for my family, or the children we try to serve. That's what it's about. And it's if you think that the world is about you doing something spectacular, you have to remember, well, what happened to that? Who gained an advantage because of that? Were you the only one? Is that who you really cared for? I don't know.
I know you wrote "Just Do It" for Nike. What's like personally to have your words impact a worldwide culture, just like that?
Well, oh God. Okay, I'm going to answer this question. I'll probably get in trouble, but so we were doing the first really big Nike series of television spots that turned on a campaign, and we had a bunch of 5 different teams, I think it was, working on creating television commercials. And we never believed in taglines. And but I saw the work the night before, and everybody left tonight. Something was bothering me. I thought, these spots are they're not done by the same 2 people. They were all very, very different. Spots were all very different, about different sports, and I just thought we needed to have some tagline to hold the thing together, to make some overall statement that brought it all, put a ribbon around it, So the next morning, I showed our team what I wanted to do. Just do it. And he said, "What?" I said, "Well, no. I think," he says, "Where did that come from?" I said, "Well, I'll tell you what happened. I wrote a couple of things as a tagline to hold all this stuff together when they see it. And for some reason, this guy that had committed murder in Utah and shot him, he was a gas station attendant, and he shot the young driver and his wife in the car, and he was taken to prison and found guilty, and he faced death by firing squad. And before they put the hood over his head, they asked if he had any final words, and he said, "Let's do it." And I went, how does anybody face that, saying, "Bring it on"? In our lives, a lot of times we're trying to avoid doing something, avoid doing what's difficult. And so I wrote, I didn't like it the way, "Let's do it." Didn't make any sense. It wasn't cool enough. So I just said, "Well, just do it." Just a throwaway thing. Forget, stop thinking about it. Just do it. And So nobody in the agency agreed with me. I said, oh, I'm just going to take it and present it. Nike didn't like it. They said, that doesn't make any sense. I said, trust me, we need this. Well, the minute it ran, it went global like that. And it was all over everywhere. Keychains, I mean, it was huge. And it's still around. I mean, it's quite amazing. So anyway, but it's another one of those things where it was not a logical process to say, why don't we take that guy, that murderer, and see if we should look to him for something? You know, doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, life doesn't make much sense.
So you're in a way the master of the 30-second commercial. Messaging that's quick, informative, that resonates in a way. So what nugget of truth or one sentence piece of wisdom can you pass on? It can be about anything: love, marriage, life, death, business, family, coping with grief or adversity, or success, just anything. What can you share with me?
Well, I guess that's a very poignant question, and I think the most important thing is we're only on this planet for a certain amount of time. Nobody knows how much they've got, and let's not waste it. Huh? Let's do something outrageous, and not just to be outrageous, but to shake yourself and shake other people free of the presumptions they already have, and say, you know what? Actually, I don't know the answer to this. Actually, I'm okay with that, because something's going to surprise me. I think that's what I have to say.
And my final two questions. So this project for me is really a selfless journey. In some ways, I'm looking to gather wisdom from those with life experience like yourself, and to help me on my path. And if others who are going to read the website, like social media accounts have connected to it, benefit too, I think that's pretty awesome too. So the first question is, I mean, obviously to me, you've led what Aristotle calls the good life. How much of it was according to plan? How much of it was fly by the seat of your pants, BS, or just luck?
I gotta tell you, I think the success of this agency is the result of a cosmic joke that is made somewhere, because none of us expected this happening. None of us strove to do this. What we wanted to do is create a place where you just had a fun life, and you wanted to shock the world, you know? And somehow, in the last place in the world, you'd find an international advertising agency with as much respect as this agency has turned into. It wouldn't be Portland, Oregon, for Christ's sake. So you just never know. But that's what makes it so interesting. And you know what? Sometimes failure is the most important thing. And you can ice skate that shit.
And lastly, who else you know, like sports stars, celebrities, business leaders, just a scientific superstar, who you think would participate in the project?
In your project?
In my project.
Your project being?
Practical wisdom.
Practical wisdom. Practical wisdom. I don't know the person, but I would say practical wisdom. Wow, that's really weird. sometimes I think, where do I put this? God damn it. I'm not sure. I'll just say what I honestly feel, and then I'll answer the question you're asking, but and maybe it's just between you and I, but being practical and wisdom for me is like a contradiction in terms. I've always felt that the best work this agency has turned out, and at me personally, has been, whether it's writing ads or starting other projects up, is when I feel like I'm being faced with a life or death situation, and there's nothing in my background that can help me. And thirdly, I'm running out of time. So I can't solve the problem given that. So something has to be given to me from I don't know where. But that's usually is when something special happens. It's like, beep, it appears in your mind and you go, I didn't get there logically. There was nothing logical about this. I was panicked, my brain froze, and something else happened.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wieden.
Is that okay? I don't know if that answers your question. Huh?
I mean, it's...
Would you want me to, what can we do with this? What was the actual ending you were saying? It was practical wisdom?
Yeah. Well, the question is, like, who can you connect me with to expand on this website for the knowledge?
Oh.
But your answer was great. Anyway.
Is it still running?
It's running.